Welcome to Story Time with me, Miss Sheila. I hope you're having a wonderful and beautiful day. Today's story is based on a true story, and it's called Opening the Road, Victor Hugo Green and His Green Book. So some of it's going to be really hard to hear because it did really happen in our past. So we're going to find out some history today. Okay? Okay, so let's get into it. Victor Hugo Green was tired of hearing no. Victor loved the freedom of driving on the open road. Same here. But too often the road was closed to him. It was like this for most black people in the United States. When he and his wife, Alma, traveled from New York to Virginia to visit family, they risked getting turned away, yelled at, and even hurt. That's not good. Black motorists were told no food, no vacancy, no bathroom for black people. How awful is that? White American travelers could stop at any roadside restaurant, hotel, or restroom, but Black Americans had to pack cold food, blankets, and pillows for sleeping in the car and a make-do toilet. Oh my goodness. In southern states, Jim Crow laws kept Black and white Americans apart. No drinking from the same water fountain. So see, there's one that says white and one says colored. And then you see the difference in the fountains too. No walking through the same door, no sitting together, and the separate black spaces were always second class, if they existed at all. Oh, that would have been a really hard time to live in. On road trips, when with nowhere safe to stop and stay, black motorists often drove at night, all night. If they had an accident, ambulances and hospitals refused to help them. And if they were lucky, they could find a black funeral director to bring them to the hospital. But there wasn't always a hospital nearby that treated black patients. See, and that's scary, like when you're driving so much in the dark and know that there's no safe place for you. Up north and out west, black drivers feared getting lost or having car trouble in the wrong town at the wrong time. At sunset in sundown towns, the sound of a siren or a white man's wave signaled, "Leave now." And see, this sign here says, "Whites only after dark." Oh, that would be very scary. Even in Victor's home state of New York, where there were anti discrimination laws, many restaurants, businesses, and schools and parks did not welcome black people. One day, Victor read a Jewish newspaper with information about Jewish owned hotels and vacation resorts in New York, and he discovered a guide for Jewish people with lists of stores that sold kosher food in the 1930s. Jewish Americans couldn't go everywhere they wanted to either. This gave Victor an idea. What if he wrote a book with information about where Black Americans were safe and welcomed? Oh, thank goodness. So Victor asked his friends and neighbors in Harlem where they safely dined, shopped, and played in the city. Victor worked as a mail carrier. Along his postal route, Victor asked folks about places that were welcoming to black people too. Good idea. After lugging his heavy mail sack in heat, rain, and sleet, or snow, all day Victor worked on the book at night. Sometimes he'd nod off while sorting and compiling his growing lists. Victor finished the Negro Motorist Green Book in 1936. It was a 10-page guide filled with safe spaces and friendly faces for black travelers in New York City. The following year, he updated the guide. "Let's all get together and make motoring better," he wrote. With copies in hand, Victor visited black churches and social clubs to persuade New Yorkers to buy his book. It sold like hotcakes. Customers called it the Green Book and begged Victor to include other states in his guide. So Victor wrote letters asking mail carriers all over the country for the names and addresses of places that welcome black customers. Good idea. Replies poured in. Victor and Elmer worked together to expand the guide. 2 years later, the Green Book more than doubled in size to 28 pages. Woo! With Victor's Green Book, Black travelers knew where to go and who to trust. Hungry? Check the Green Book. Tired? Check the Green Book. Sick? Check the Green Book as they're traveling. To keep the guide current, Victor asked readers for recommendations. He hired sales agents to find Black-owned businesses to add. News about the guide mostly spread by word of mouth. Then in 1940, Victor happily announced that the U.S. government made it an official Negro travel guide. When a national chain of gas stations started selling the Green Book, travelers filling their tanks were happy to find the helpful guide. The Green Book flew off the shelves. Woohoo! In cities with no hotels willing to rent to some black female entrepreneurs rented out rooms in their homes. Very smart. Tourists showed up at all hours of the day or night on strangers' doorsteps. But with the Green Book, they knew they were arriving somewhere safe. Carry your Green Book with you, Victor urged. You may need it. The Green Book became more than a travel guide. It also helped readers learn about Black achievements and Black history. The guide steered families toward cities with thriving Black communities. It listed colleges that accepted Black students, and even famous Black singers and musicians, movie stars, and athletes used the Green Book. More than 2 million copies of the Green Book were sold. It made it possible for Black families to enjoy vacations. They went hiking in the mountains, swimming on the seashore, and horseback riding in the countryside at businesses run by Black owners. How incredible is that? Bravo, Victor. Thank you. In the 1950s and 60s, Black Americans were also marching, staging sit ins, and sitting with white allies on segregated buses and at restaurants. They were building a civil rights movement to protest racial inequality. Victor dreamed of a day when Black citizens wouldn't need the Green Book at all, when we as a race will have equal opportunities and privileges in the United States, when some states stop separating Black and white travelers on trains, on buses, and in airports, fewer copies of the Green Book sold. In 1964, the United States Congress passed a law that made separating people by race illegal. The 1966-67 Green Book was the last edition published. Well, I'm so glad that they didn't need to publish that book anymore, but and Victor made a huge difference, eh? Yes, he did. The fight against racism still has and still had and still has a long way to go. Yes, even in 2025, we're still fighting it. But now there was no legal segregation, no legal discrimination, and no green book for Black people, just like Victor dreamed. Ah, amen. Oh, and look, at the back of the book has a lot more notes about Victor. I hope you enjoyed that story and I hope you remember it. And I hope you remember like to love on everybody and to be kind and just know that everybody um is so so important and very, very loved. Until next time with me, Sheila, you keep telling you life. Bye for now.